Well, hey, welcome to Journey Church Online. I am Matt. I'm your host today, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. I think that as we're beginning a new series today, this could be a very meaningful and impactful series all this month for you to experience. Something that can bring you peace and hope. So, at the Journey, we're all about relationships, not religion. And what we want is to experience a real relationship with Jesus. We believe that he wants to be connected to each one of us, no matter who we are or what we've done. And so if you're kind of new to Journey Church Online, I want to encourage you to fill out a guest card. Maybe it's your first time, or maybe you've been around for a while. If you go to our Next Step Center, you can fill out a guest card. We won't harass you or anything like that, but we want to encourage and support you anyway as you explore God or take steps to experience him in your life. We believe our best life is found in a relationship with him, and so we want to help you experience that as well. There's also a Connect card right on our Next Step Center. If you have any prayer requests or need any information or need any assistance of any kind, you can just fill out that Connect card as well. There's also a link there for our Next Steps blog. You can find all the details for opportunities this month. I want to highlight a few opportunities we have this month. One thing that we're going to be offering online is our Growth Pathway class. We have this growth pathway that helps us grow in our relationship with God, and we have a class about spreading kindness. It can help us create margins in our life for ourselves and to be able to impact other people. It can help us take steps for God to work in our lives and through our lives. So if you're looking for an opportunity to be part of a virtual session that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, you can just go to our Next Step Center, and you can go to that blog, find all the details for that class coming up. We also are going to be doing something special this holiday season. Our Hope Christmas Project is something we do every year. It's a chance for us to bring hope around the world, and we're going to be introducing a new global partner, so we're really excited about that. That's coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. One other opportunity I just wanted to encourage you to consider is being part of our social media team. If you've been connected with Church Online, maybe you want to help other people engage with God as well. And so the social media team is a great place to do that. If you're interested in that, just click on that volunteer form that we have on that Next Step Center, and you can find more details about that. Well, those are some great opportunities for you to take some next steps. And today, I think is going to be a great new series. We're starting a brand new series called I'm Not Okay. And it's all about finding peace. That we've been kind of going through struggles this past couple of years, and we're maybe moving forward, but on the inside, we might not feel like I'm okay. And so we're looking to find peace in the midst of all the struggle this month. So I'm really looking forward to this month. I think it'll be impactful for you. So as we look to have God impact our life, we just want to take some time to turn our focus towards him. So I just want to just encourage you to take a moment to pause and kind of push all the distractions aside, to bring our focus to God. And as the band leads us in a song, reflect upon these words, or maybe even sing along as a way to bring your focus to God. So let's just do that right now. Maybe just pause me as we begin today, as we pray. God, as we sing, as we listen to these words, we just want to bring our focus towards you, just to turn all the other distractions away and just to connect with you this morning, to speak to our hearts today. In your name we pray. Amen.
worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing holy, holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside
Well, hey guys, it's good to be with you today, and my name is Mark. I'm glad to get to jump in with you guys to start this brand new series here for the month of November. And I got to tell you right away, just as I get started, that I'm not okay. I am not okay. And maybe some of you, if you know who I am, or maybe someday you meet me for the first time, you would say, yeah, he's not okay. He's got a lot of issues. He is definitely not okay. And that's the name of our series this month. It's called I'm Not Okay. And you may be wondering, okay, where are we going with this? What's this series all about? You know, as we are living our lives, as we keep going, as we keep moving forward and maybe even navigating some new things in our lives, there seems to be in many people kind of like an underlying level of some struggle, of some stress, maybe some anxiety, or even frustration. I know my wife, Jen, and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and the word that came to our minds was disoriented. Like it seems like maybe lots of life is kind of back to normal, like we're kind of living at somewhat the same pace we used to, but it feels different. It's not quite the same, and maybe a bit disoriented. Maybe you felt a little bit like that recently. And maybe you would say as well, yeah, I'm not really doing okay, or maybe you would say, yeah, I am doing okay, or perhaps you're not sure, or maybe you even kind of deny all of that. The reality is, what this series is all about is we want to know, how do we find peace? That's where we're going with this. How do we find peace? Because peace is something we all want. Like we want to have peace with others, but also peace within ourselves, like peace in our own mind and in our own thoughts and our hearts. We want to have peace. It's not like we want to live with the opposite of peace, where we feel agitated or distressed or frustrated and anxious or disoriented. We want to have peace. But often what happens is, as we keep moving forward, as we keep taking steps ahead in our lives, sometimes we just keep going without peace. And we carry those things around that are the opposite of peace. And if you're like me, there's been times in the last year or two that have been unpeaceful. Like there's been a lot of changes in our world and even our own lives that makes us sometimes feel like we're not okay and we're not at peace. So how do we find peace? One of the things that happens to all of us at times, and I think this may be something trying to actually steal our peace, something that may be growing in our culture that wants to sabotage and rob us of our peace, is I believe that we may be shifting to becoming more and more impatient. We're becoming more impatient. Because it seems like right now, there's just lots of things we have to wait for. And lots of things seem to take longer, don't they? Like sometimes at restaurants, not all, but some of them even have signs that say, we are short-staffed, please be patient with us because things are taking longer. I know for me, I've had a house project I've wanted to get done for a while. I have a siding issue. It's kind of more than I'm able to do myself. And I've actually called 5 different contractors asking to come take a look and can you get me on the list? And some of them were like, no, we're just too busy. Others, they haven't even been able to return my phone call. They came out and looked and then didn't hear back from them. Like they're so busy. There's so many of those house projects going on right now. Like I'm way further down on the list and I'm tired of waiting and I'm growing impatient with all of that. And finally I got a hold of someone this last week and I think it's going to happen, but I've had to wait a long time for that. I think there's some disappointment because sometimes things aren't happening as fast as we want them to. Sometimes even waiting for someone to reply to a text or an email. It's like, come on, it's been 2 minutes. Why haven't you replied? Like, what's taking so long? And I don't know if you heard about these supply chain issues where everything seems to be backed up. Maybe you ordered something online, you're waiting to get that, and it's maybe stuck on a shipping container out in the middle of the ocean because they don't have enough people to unload all those. So all of that stuff is taking longer, and we have to wait. And they're even saying, if you want to order something for Christmas for somebody, like a gift, if you're ordering it, you got to order it today or it's not going to get here on time. And I'm talking about Christmas next year in 13 months. You got to get your gifts now so you get it 13 months from now. It seems like a lot of things are taking longer. What about you? Like, what's causing you to be impatient right now? Like, how do you find yourself waiting? Perhaps it's something in your workplace. There's been so many changes and disruptions. There's new issues to work through, or maybe it's a house project for you, or maybe it's a relationship where you're growing impatient because you're not sure where it's going to go and you're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. Or maybe it's a health issue that you're waiting to get some answers to. Or maybe it's a school issue. Like if you work at a school, or if you're a student and you go to school, or if you're a parent have kids in schools, like there's like different guidelines and different ways schools are functioning, and that's been difficult to navigate over the last several months. And maybe you find yourself growing impatient as you go. And here's the thing. Everyone else that we interact with right now, they're dealing with the same issues too. Like they have things that cause them to have to wait and to be impatient in their workplace, their relationships, their schools. It's like our whole culture has needed to shift to be more patient with everyone and to be more patient with everything, but not everybody has made that shift to be more patient. We have to wait. And what we find is the waiting turns to impatience. And sometimes the impatience starts to build and we feel it boiling up inside of us, right? And we feel the temperature rising and it just gets right here, and then sometimes it turns into anger. There always has been, and there always will be something that can stir up impatience and anger inside of us. I mean, some have even said, well, when COVID ends, this will all be better. Or when things get figured out in my workplace, or my house projects gets figured out, like it'll just be better when all that gets fixed and everything gets taken care of. I recently talked to a financial advisor, and he was saying that they do these projections of what's to come in the years ahead, and nothing's a guarantee. They don't know anything for sure, but he said there's projections that it could take 6 to 8 years for the ripple effect of COVID to work itself out through different cultures and economies. And I'm not even sure what that all means or what that looks like. But do we want to wait that long to let our impatience and anger to continue to disrupt our peace? Like, do we want to continue to let impatience and anger disrupt and sabotage the peace that we all want? Do you want to wait that long before you have peace? In the Bible, there's a story about a guy named Abraham. And we've shared stories about him here at the Journey before. But Abraham was a guy that God had a big plan for, a big vision. And he said, Abraham, you're gonna have a new nation. He's gonna build a new nation through Abraham and all these descendants. And amazing things were gonna happen. Like God wanted this nation to reflect God's love and his peace to the world. And through this nation, Jesus was gonna come and offer forgiveness by dying on a cross so we could be at peace with God again. It was a big plan. And God even says to Abraham in Genesis 15:5, he took him outside and he said, look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. So God said to Abraham, he said, you and your wife Sarai, you're going to have a child. And through that child, I'm going to build this new nation. Now they were older and kind of past the childbearing years. And so this is going to be a big miracle, a big blessing from God, but they had to wait. So they waited. And they kept waiting. And they waited some more. And as time went on, they grew impatient. And my guess is they started to become a little bit angry too. Because back then, if you didn't have a child, it was kind of an embarrassing thing. It was almost like you weren't blessed, or there was something wrong with you, or you felt some shame because you didn't have a child. That was all going on within them as well. And they kept growing in impatience, and they had to wait. But God promised to bless them. He promised them that. But God was with them in the waiting. You see, they had a relationship with God before, and they had taken steps in the relationship with God in the past, and they worshiped God. Maybe there's been something you've been waiting for, something you've been wanting to see happen, something you've been trying to figure out and you're hoping to have an answer to. And maybe you even feel the impatience and anger growing inside you, but you have to wait. just like Abraham, God is with you while you're waiting. You are not alone. God is with you while you wait. But even more than that, God has something for you while you're waiting. You see, what God had for Abraham, it wasn't just a child. God wanted Abraham to trust God, to be close to God, to have peace with God. And by Abraham waiting and not knowing what the future was going to be, what was going to happen, he had to trust God. But that wasn't just something for Abraham. God wanted the whole future nation, all those future generations, to trust God and to be at peace with God and to be close to God. God wanted that for all the future generations, because those future generations, they weren't going to get everything they wanted. Things weren't going to happen as fast as they wanted it to. If you want to be closer to God, if you want to have more peace in your life, waiting with God gives you that opportunity. I love the book of Psalms in the Bible because the way it's written, it really connects with how we think and feel sometimes, but also communicates these big truths of God. And in Psalm 29, verse 11, the writer says this: "The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace." When you're not doing okay, where do we find peace? He tells us it's when you're with God. When you are with God in that relationship, you can have peace. That's what God has for you while you're waiting. We have this opportunity when we're waiting, when we don't know how it's going to turn out, we can receive this peace from Him. While we have to wait, He is our peace. You know, when we grow impatient, sometimes, again, we feel it boiling up. And sometimes it gets so much so that we become angry and maybe lash out to other people and say things we shouldn't. Sometimes we sin, sometimes we say things that we regret. Maybe even sometimes we're a jerk. But when we get to that point, it doesn't make the situation better. It doesn't help with the waiting. It's like I was at a restaurant one time a few months ago with Jen, and the table next to us, there's a guy sitting there, and the servers were doing the best they could. And they were short-staffed and things were taking longer, but he was just getting so angry. And he just started yelling and swearing at the server about how long this was taking. He was so mad. And it wasn't like that was going to help. Like, he's like, okay, now that you're screaming at me, okay, now we'll start cooking your food. We've been waiting for you to get mad at me. You know, that's not what happened. Or with this house project, you know, there's times where I was so frustrated. It's like, what is going on? Why is this taking so long? And I was growing impatient of what they said they were going to do and they didn't do. And I know they were all busy, but it's not like if I would have left a voicemail and said, listen, you need to hurry up, and I'm so mad at you, and just start swearing and screaming at those guys about getting out there to work on the siding of my house. Like, if I did that, it's not like they would say, oh, now that you're so mad at us and you're ticked off, okay, we'll be out your house right away. You're now at the top of the list. That's not going to happen. When we look at the life of Jesus, you know, people were impatient with him too. There were many that wanted him to hurry up and be a military leader to overthrow the Romans. Others even accused him of waiting too long to heal somebody. And then there's the story in the book of Mark, chapter 5, where Jesus hears about this girl who's sick and she's dying. And they ask, can you come and heal her? And he says, yes, of course. And so he's on his way to heal her. But there's all these crowds around him. So it takes him a while to get there because these crowds are pressing in on him. It takes some time to get through the crowds. And in the crowd, there's this woman who's also ill and needed healing. And so the story tells that he stops and he has this interaction with her and brings healing to her. And then he goes on again and keep working through the crowd. And eventually he gets to this house and they say, she already died. And he says, no. He said, I'm gonna do something here. And he does this amazing things and heals her and brings her back to life again. You see, Jesus was patient. He was not in a hurry, even though there's a lot of demands around him. And my guess is some of you feel like you have a lot of demands on your life. And maybe you feel those demands mounting at work like never before. Or if you're a parent, man, you feel that in your home as not just doing things you're supposed to do as a parent, but as you're trying to train and lead your kids through this time, you feel the weight of that. Or perhaps it's decisions, lots of decisions that need to be made and responsibilities. Like you feel these demands that are on your life. And when we feel all of those, sometimes we can get impatient. There's lots of times in our lives that we're going to have to wait. And instead of letting the wait turn to impatience and anger, there's something better. God has something for you while you wait, and it's Him. It's Him. Look in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. He says this, Jesus said this, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Are you feeling burdened, weary, disoriented? Are you tired of waiting? This tells us we can go to Him. We can find rest in Him. Our relationship with Him gives you peace. Kind of our key verse for today is 2 Thessalonians 3:16. It says this. It says, "Now may the Lord of peace Himself give you peace at all times in every way. The Lord be with all of you." So one is He's with you, but He is the Lord of peace Himself. Like He Himself is peace. So peace is not found in like something we go and do or some experience we go and try to have. If you want peace, true peace that lasts, it's found when we get really close to Him. He is peace. He will give you rest. And in our relationship with Jesus, He's given us some guidance to experience peace, to not live in a state of impatience and anger when we have to wait, but we can have peace. And there's some practical things that can be very helpful. He actually gives peace through a gift that He's given all of us. There's a story in the book of Mark where there's some people talking to Jesus and asking Him questions about something that was called the Sabbath day. And they were talking about something that actually went way back to the front of the Bible in the Old Testament, where God gave the people a command to take a Sabbath day, one day a week to rest. Work 6 days, get all the activities, all the busyness and the pace done in 6. On that 7th day, rest. Take a break and actually focus more in on your relationship with God. That was a command that God had for them, and that's what they were talking about in the Sabbath day. And in Mark chapter 2, verse 27, Jesus Himself said this. He said that day, that Sabbath day, it was made for man. So yes, it's a command that God gives to take a Sabbath day, to take a day of rest, but it's actually a command that's a gift because we need it. The way our bodies are made, how God designed us. He designed us to be able to go hard and do what we got to do and make everything happen in 6 days and then take a day off, a day to rest. We need that. And here's the thing, if you kind of have a busy week and there's a lot of demands and responsibilities and you know you've got a day coming where you can rest and take a break, I think that helps us as we go through the week to be more patient and to have peace as we go through all of those things. If you're not getting that in your life, that Sabbath day, that day of rest, I want to challenge you. Take a step towards that. Figure out how to make that happen in your life because the way your body is made is designed to have that. Yeah, I know, we're busy. There's a lot of demands and responsibilities in your job or as a parent with kids, and there's things to clean in the house and house projects that need to be done, and leaves got to get cleaned up, and things that we own and that we need to be taken care of, and places we got to go. Like there's a lot to do every week. But we need a day to rest, to be with Him. And maybe if you're saying, you know what, I'm too busy. I got way too much going on to take a day like that. You know what? You are too busy. And you do have too much going on. and you're violating this very gift that God's given you. There's a counselor that I heard was interviewed on a podcast, and the counselor shared that, when people come into his office for counseling, a lot of people say, like, what their problem is. Like, I got this issue at work, or as a parent with my kids, or I'm fighting with my spouse, or I feel some anxiety or depression. And he says he doesn't ignore those things, but he just starts asking questions like, all right, let me just see how things are going. Like, what are you eating and drinking? Like, what are your eating and drinking habits? Are you getting enough exercise? Are you getting enough sleep? And are you taking a day of rest every week? See, he talks about those basic healthy disciplines because those things can help us have patience and to have peace. Jesus brings peace into our lives when we have to wait, and when you struggle with impatience and anger. So we got to find that space to rest with him. Take that Sabbath. It's a gift that he's given all of us. And so back to our question, what does God have for you while you wait? It's himself, and it's his peace. One other thing I think that sometimes is connected when we don't have peace and can actually cause us to have more impatience and anger is that you may be feeling a sense of loss. My guess is all of us have felt like we've lost something in the last year or two, or we've lost someone. Some of you have lost someone very close to you, and you miss them, and you feel like a piece of you is gone. But there's other kinds of loss as well. Like, I know for me, there's been a few relationships over the last couple years. It kind of makes me go, what happened? Where did they go? The relationship just kind of ended. And I feel a sense of loss in those relationships. Maybe you've experienced some of those too. Or maybe you've experienced loss in some other ways. Maybe you feel a sense of loss in the stability of your job and how you used to function in your job. Or perhaps if you're work at a school or you go to school, how your school functions, it's different. And you feel a loss of how it used to be. Or as a parent, the consistency that you used to have as a parent has been totally disrupted. And you feel some loss there too. Because we process that, as we process something we've lost, and we're trying to move forward, sometimes you feel stuck. And so the question is, well, how do we deal with loss? Like, I'm not an expert and I'm not a counselor, and many of you experience loss to a greater extent than I have. But you might need some time. You need to wait for that to pass. Don't try to hurry through it or ignore it or push it down. You have to wait. But again, God has something for you while you're waiting. Embrace his peace during that time. In 2 Thessalonians, our verse 3:16, he says, "Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times, even when you've experienced loss." That's what God has for you while you're waiting. One other thing is that God has something for others while we wait. You see, while we wait, he also wants us to look outward, not inward. Like, I think our impatience sometimes and our anger can start to build because we're looking inward, like at our own situation and how things in our life kind of got a mess. But he wants us to look outward and to look at others around us and how we can show his love and peace to the world around us. That was God's plan for Abraham and that nation. That's the whole point of it, was to reflect his love and his peace to the rest of the world. But when we're impatient and when we're angry, we don't reflect his love and his peace very well. When we are patient, when we do have his peace, it helps us to shine his peace into the world around us. Because remember, they're dealing with the same issues that we are. They're feeling disoriented. They're feeling the struggle. They're feeling a sense of loss in their workplace, in their relationships as a parent, in their schools, just like we are. They have to wait, and they struggle with impatience and anger too, and we can help them find peace. We have moments every day when we have to wait. There's going to be times where things take longer, and we feel disappointment, and we feel disoriented maybe and have a sense of loss. There's going to be days when you feel like, I'm not okay. This week, you're going to have to wait. But in that space of waiting, God has something for you. It's himself and it's his peace. And he also has something for others while you're waiting, where you can shine his love and his peace into the lives of other people. And I think if we viewed waiting as a way that we can experience more of God's peace in our own life, and we can share his peace in the lives of others, maybe waiting isn't so bad. Maybe waiting can be really good. Let's pray together. God, there's days that we have to admit there's days when we're not okay. And part of that is because we feel like we have to wait and on so many things and other people, and sometimes the impatience grows inside of us and even maybe becomes angry sometimes. And we thank you for these truths we've heard today, that while we wait and in those moments, you have something for us, and it's you and the peace that you bring. Help us to find our true peace in you and in nothing else. Thank you for the peace you give each one of us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, thanks, Mark, for sharing with us today. I hope that you experience God as your peace. And if you're online on Monday, make sure you check out our Monday morning remix for more insight on how we can experience God as our peace. You can check that out on Facebook Live, and that will be happening on Monday morning. And for all the other details of things going on this month that we shared earlier, again, go to the Next Step Center. You also find links on our website for giving, and we are so grateful for all of you who give to make this possible for Journey Church Online, as well as everything else that we do. And so thank you for your generosity. If you'd like to give, you can go to our donate page, and you can even give now. You'll also find details on our website for parents. If you have kids, we encourage you right now just to bring your kids together and to do Sundays at home, and you can find all of those resources available on our website. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. And I hope you can join us next week. I'm actually going to be sharing next Sunday as part of this series. And I'm actually going to be sharing about some of the hardest things I've ever faced in my life and how I found peace in the middle of that. So I hope you can join us next week as we continue our series, I'm Not Okay, as we look for peace. Until then, I just want to encourage you, as always, to follow Jesus, to spread kindness, to share hope, and remember, we are better together. See you next Sunday, Journey.